What's up everyone, my name is Kelsey, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing something a little different. So Margaret over at Word Nerd organized this sort of alternate gift exchange where all the participants exchange book recommendations instead of physical gifts, which I think is an awesome way to get everyone in like the giving spirit without the, monetary commitment. So basically everyone signed up and was randomly assigned a person to gift book recommendations to. And I was lucky enough to get Margaret at Word Nerd herself, the organizer of everything. So each person was given a little bit of background about their participant and the kind of books they like and their favorites. So Margaret said she was looking for adult, young adult, and middle grade recs in the genres fantasy, sci-fi, contemporary, thrillers, or graphic novels, which are all things I read, so perfect. She also said 3 of her favorite books are the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan, When Dimple Met Rishi by Sanjay Menon, and Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I've only read Six of Crows and When Dimple Met Rishi, and I enjoyed both of them, so hopefully I can get some good recs for her. She said some things she loves in books are anything to lovers, badass female heroines, love interests that confront or defy toxic masculinity, retellings, and clever takes on any trope. She also needs romance, some kind of romantic subplot in any book, and she hates tragic endings for the main character or the romantic subplot. First, I'm going to start with my contemporary picks because I read those the least. I have 2 recommendations. First is Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World by Ashley Herring Blake. This is a middle grade contemporary and it follows Ivy Aberdeen after her family home is destroyed during a tornado in the Midwest and her family has to relocate temporarily. At the same time, the only thing she was able to rescue from her house was a journal that she had been writing in for a long time, and it had drawings of her and another girl that she had a crush on. During this relocation process, her journal goes missing and someone starts leaving the pictures and letters in her locker, and she doesn't know if this person is a friend or someone that's trying to let her secret out, and it just follows her journey throughout that, and it is just the sweetest contemporary. Like, Ivy Aberdeen is just a well-written character, and she's so stressed and sad, and like throughout the whole book you just want to give her a hug and tell her everything's going to be okay. And there's a little bit of romance. I mean, they're like 11, so it's not anything crazy, but she does have a crush on another girl. Recommend that one. My second contemporary is Saints and Misfits by S.K. Ali. So this follows Jana, who is a high schooler who is struggling to fit in with her classmates and her family. Her parents are divorced and her father has a new family with his own kids with this new wife, and her brother is just the perfect son, and she feels like she's not living up to her mom's expectations for her, and at the same time she's dealing with like a past sexual assault and like continued sexual harassment while also trying to deal with some of the requirements of her religion and how she personally feels about it and how she wants to deal with it in the future. She wears a hijab and she gets a lot of judgment from her classmates for it. Some of the elements of this book remind me a lot of When Dimple Met Rishi, just the way Jana has to deal with like the expectations of her family and what they want for her versus what she wants. And she's like, coming of age kind of story where she's trying to figure out what she wants for herself. And I also think this is kind of a clever take on the boy changes a girl's life thing, because there is a romantic subplot in here. She has a crush on another boy, and a lot of her decisions spring from that relationship, but she has complete agency in this story. She makes decisions for herself based on her own thoughts. So I really enjoy that. Second recommendation. So on to The Abyss Surrounds Us by Emily Skrutsky. This is set in sort of a future, like a sci-fi fantasy dystopian almost, where climate disasters have changed the world completely. And in this world, much of life and transportation takes place on the ocean. So there are a resurgence of pirates, and in order to protect ships as they travel, reckoners are trained to raise these like genetically engineered what appear to be monsters in order to fend off pirates and protect the ships. So our main character Cass is training as a reckoner, and on her first journey protecting a cruise ship, which should have been a simple job, it's taken by pirates and Cass is kidnapped. The captain of this pirate ship wants Cass to raise and train their reckoner so that she can become a part of their crew and use this reckoner to take take down legal ships. So that right there is just a fascinating world. And there is a great romantic subplot here between Cass and Swift. And Swift is like the first mate on this pirate ship, and this is another trope that we're subverting, because Swift is set up like the typical YA bad boy love interest, okay? She's aloof, she's sarcastic and kind of mean, she's your typical badass, but all of the characters in this book are badasses, so badass female heroine taken care of. In case you didn't catch it from the description, this book also has sort of an enemies to lovers situation. Cass obviously hates Swift because she works with her kidnappers at the beginning, but then they develop a relationship throughout. So yeah, those are all the reasons I recommend The Abyss Surrounds Us. Okay, next I have 2 adult fantasies. The first is Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse, and this is another like sci-fi futuristic dystopian world where, again, climate disasters have changed the world forever. Waters have risen, cutting off much of the United States. So there's sort of a regression in, the availability of food and technology and an entire different way of living. So our main character, Maggie, lives in this new world, and she is a monster hunter because with this climate disasters, there's been a resurgence of monsters, and the monsters in this book are based on Native American legend. So Maggie is a monster hunter. The people of this town hire her to hunt down monsters to protect them, but she's kind of an outcast. When Maggie is hired to take care of a monster that's like out of her league, something more terrifying than she's ever seen before, she gets the help of Kai, who is a medicine man, and they work together to take down this monster. There's also like a cast of really interesting characters, and there's a romance between Maggie and Kai. Very slow burn, and I haven't read the second book yet, so I can't guarantee there's no tragic ending. But the way this book is written and the way we're sort of set up, I don't expect there to be a tragic ending. This book has, I can't say it's enemies to lovers, but it's definitely a mutual disdain to lovers. Badass female heroine, Maggie is like a straight up badass, taking down monsters and shit. And love interests that confront or defy toxic masculinity. Kai is very, what's the word? I guess I would describe him as like, soft boy. I love like the angry girls and soft boys. That's one of my favorite ship dynamics. So he's also like pretty feminine. He dresses however he wants, like flashy clothes and accessories and stuff. He's definitely not a badass like Maggie is. So, all right, my last recommendation. I think I only needed to do 3, but oh well, we have 5. So my last is The Last Sun by Katie Edwards. If you've literally ever watched my channel before, you've probably heard me talk about this because it's one of my favorite books of all time. This is an urban fantasy, which has kind of fallen out of favor, but I think is making a resurgence. And it follows Rune St. John, who is the last child of the fallen Sun Court, and he's hired to locate the missing son of Lady Justice. So with the help of Brand, who is his human companion, they look for clues, they hunt people down, and they discover that there's something much more sinister than just a missing man. There's something mythical happening, something that shouldn't be there, and they uncover the start of a much larger plot in the works. So I just fucking love this book. And fair warning, this is a 9-book series and only 2 of the books are out yet. So there's definitely a wait for the last book, but the author has said there are wedding rings in our main character's futures. So that sounds like a happy ending to me. This has a romantic subplot between Rune and Adam. The first book has a sad lack of badass female characters, but I'm currently reading the second book, The Hanged Man, and there we have some badass female characters. So we're getting there with the females. We have love interests and just generally characters that defy toxic masculinity. These dudes are not afraid to cry. They're not afraid to be vulnerable with each other. Rune and Brand, they're companions, so they have sort of a psychic bond. They were bonded when they were children, so that Brand could act as like a bodyguard for Rune. And their dynamic is just so amazing. I love them. This is set in a world, and this kind of reminds me of Percy Jackson, which I've never read, but I know is based on mythology. So this world is based on the major arcana of tarot. Basically, Atlantis is real, and 70-ish years ago, humans discovered it and started a war against the Atlanteans. After the war ended, Atlantis made Nantucket, the island of Nantucket, their new home by translocating ancient ruins from all over the world and making their home there. So all of the politics, all of the, major players are based on legends of the tarot. Super interesting. Okay, so those are all my recommendations for you. Margaret, if you read any of them, please keep me updated. I want to know if you like them. If you have any other recommendations for Margaret, leave them in the comments. I would love to see them. If you thought my recommendations were shit, you can tell me that. I'll probably be offended though. All right, I post book-related videos every Wednesday, so if you want to see more, subscribe. If you like this video, hit like. If you want to keep talking, you can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Kelsey Reads or Goodreads at Kelsey Lynn Reads. Otherwise, I'll see you next week.